The boiled frog effect, when you get used to negativity without realizing it. There was a man named Walter who lived in a small house at the edge of town. Every morning, he woke up to the same routine: coffee, the morning paper, and the low hum of the radio playing in the background. The news was always the same: another political scandal, another tragedy, another reason to sigh and shake his head. But Walter didn't think much of it. After all, wasn't that just how the world was? Then one day, his grandson, Ethan, came to visit. The boy was bright-eyed, full of questions, and endlessly curious about everything. As they sat together at the kitchen table, Ethan looked up from his cereal and asked, "Grandpa, why do you always listen to the sad news?" Walter chuckled. "That's just how things are, kiddo. The world's a tough place." Ethan frowned. "But you never turn it off. Doesn't it make you feel bad?" Walter paused. He hadn't really thought about it. The news had become like background noise, a constant murmur he barely noticed anymore. But now, with Ethan's innocent question ringing in his ears, he realized something unsettling. He had stopped noticing. Later that evening, Walter sat alone in his chair, the radio still murmuring in the corner. He tried to remember the last time he'd listened to something uplifting, a piece of music, an old comedy show, even just the sound of birds outside. But the habit had settled in so quietly, so gradually, that he hadn't even felt it happening. It reminded him of an old science experiment he'd heard about years ago: the boiled frog effect. If you drop a frog into boiling water, it'll jump right out. But if you place it in cool water and slowly turn up the heat, it won't notice the danger until it's too late. Walter shivered. Had he been sitting in slowly heating water all this time? The next morning, he made a decision. He turned off the radio. The silence felt strange at first, almost uncomfortable, but then he noticed something else: the sound of birds chirping outside his window, the rustle of leaves in the breeze. Small things he hadn't paid attention to in years. Over the next few weeks, Walter started making little changes. He swapped the morning news for a book of poetry. Instead of scrolling through endless headlines on his phone, he called an old friend just to chat. And slowly, something inside him shifted. The weight he hadn't even realized he was carrying began to lift. One afternoon, Ethan came over again. "Grandpa," he said, grinning, "you seem happier." Walter smiled. "You know what, kiddo, I think I am. It's funny how easily we adjust to things, how negativity, stress, even cynicism can seep into our lives without us realizing it. We tell ourselves it's just the way things are, that we're simply being realistic. But realism doesn't have to mean resignation. The danger isn't in the sudden shocks of life, the big losses, the obvious pains. The real danger is in the slow, steady drip of small negativities that we stop noticing until they've changed us. Until we wake up one day and realize we've been living in water that's been heating up for years. But here's the good news: just as slowly as the heat rises, we can turn it back down. We can choose to step out of the pot, one small change at a time, a little less noise, a little more silence, a little less worry, a little more wonder. Because life isn't just about enduring. It's about noticing, before the water gets too hot. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.